Hey there, happy day 889 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting my journey as I transition from the offline brick and mortar world to the online world of business. And in many aspects, several times I have been on the rocks as I've been on this journey. Guess what? There's been lots of times I've been on the rocks in every area and aspect of my life and of my journey. Every time I face a challenge or an obstacle or a failure, and I redefined failure in my journey of life. You know, I made it to 60 years old with a little pit stop at 50, and I almost didn't still be here, but I've learned over the decades that there's really no such thing as failure as long as you get back up again and go and move toward the next thing, take the next step. You know, we all, when we're learning to walk, just think back at any of us, whether we learned to walk before we were a year old or between a year and 2 years old or however old we were when we learned to walk, we didn't just hop up and start walking, right? We had to try, fall, which would be considered a failure, but then we'd get up again and we would try again. That's a success. So for as many failures as we think we've had in our life, which have been thousands by the time you're two, but you've also had that many more successes by the time you're two. And for some reason, as human beings, we focus on all of our failures, all the things that didn't work out, all the things from our past that were miserable, instead of all the amazing times we triumphed, that we were successful, that we did stand up or get up and go again and try another thing, do another thing, keep moving toward our life, toward the things that we want. And for some reason, we're so good at recalling the things that are negative and bad in our lifetime that we forget about all of the blessings and all the goodness and all the cool things that have happened to us in our life. All the times that we thought, oh my God, the stars aligned, the universe has supported me, God answered my prayers, this has happened for me. And those things, our successes tend to be so short-lived, and then we're on to the next thing. Now, some people will stop and celebrate when they have a success, but the vast majority of us will be like on to the next thing before we've even celebrated the thing that we just achieved. So I'm thinking a little bit about, and I just started thinking about it, my online journey so far. And if I look back at it, I, like everybody else, I think of all the things that failed. And I forget to count and look at all of the things that I've done that have been really, really successful. So I'm going to make a concerted effort today to take a couple of minutes and focus on and think about all of the things that have gone right in my online journey instead of all of the mistakes I've made and the things I've done wrong. It's so easy to come up, hey, these are the top 20 mistakes I made as I went from offline to online. These are the mistakes I continue to make even though I know that I should fix them. And that those things come up so easily that I want to just take today as a day of appreciation and gratitude for how far I've come. All the things that I can do every day that, you know, even a couple years ago, I was petrified and scared to death to even try. And I kept saying over and over and over again, I'm not ever going to do that. I'm not ever going to try that. I'm not ever going to be that. And yet many of those things I've already accomplished and already done. And I believe if you look at your life, you'll discover the same is true for you. That there are literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of things that you've tried that didn't work, but you got up and you tried something else. So as we look back and we think, oh, I failed so many times, guess what? Every time you've gotten up and continued to move forward, that's a success. So they negate all of the failures that we've had, and each and every one of us are successful just because we're alive and that we're human beings, right? All right, so Get Up and Go Challenge today was all about spiritual activity. What am I going to do to improve my spirituality? I've been going through, as part of the 40-day free Get Up and Go Challenge, all the 7 areas and aspects of my life, and I started out and was just going to do a couple times. I teach something called the SOAP framework or the SOAP model for us to clean up our act and make sure that every change we experience turns out the way that we want it to, and or might not be the exact way we want it to and envisioned in our mind, but it moves us toward what it is that we want, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, with respect to our relationships, and contribution, our bigger area, how we show up in the world. Contribution to me is a part of our spiritual essence, but it's definitely not the same thing. Contribution is just a small part of who we really are as a being, as a human being. And spiritual to me is our not our human part, but our beingness, who we really are, and on a much bigger, broader level than who we are right now physically showing up as in the world. And some people understand what I mean when I say that, other people don't. If you don't understand, that's cool, just ignore it. Anything I say, I tell people, even the people I consult and coach with, if you don't agree with something I'm saying, please speak up and ask. If you don't agree with the point that I make, ask. Ask why I say that. Don't just take it on face value and adopt it as, oh, well, Sharon said we should do this, or I should do this, so I'm going to do that. No, please don't do that. If you don't understand the reasoning behind, the why behind anything I say, ask the question. You can always direct message me and ask if you don't want to ask in the comments below. So Get Up and Go Challenge, day 35, action toward my spiritual enhancement and growth, because I'm at a certain level and I want to be at a higher level. We always, as human beings, want to be progressing toward something. Have you ever had a time in your life where you're just kind of coasting and you say, hey, I'm comfortable, this is cool, I can live with that? I will admit, even I have had a couple periods in my life where the ex-husband and I were both working in really good occupations and jobs. We had plenty of money coming in. The kids were healthy and happy. We were healthy and happy. And you just wanted to take a breath and say, oh my gosh, we finally arrived. This is it. Everything's going so smoothly for us. And then all of a sudden, the stock market crashed in the dot-com bubble, and all of the resources we thought we built up financially disappeared like almost overnight, like within a week or weeks. It was just, I had to stop looking at it because the ex-husband would call me up and say, oh, we lost $100,000 today or something. And I'd be like, I don't even want to hear this. You know what? It isn't that we lost it because we never had it. We never cashed in and took that money toward us. So it's like everything else, ebbs and flows, ups and downs. I think a lot of people can relate to that right now, given the coronavirus and what's going on with our personal lives, our businesses, our investments, and everything. We've seen literally billions of dollars disappear from the market. But guess what? It will come back again. The economy will recover. If you doubt that, you're crazy, because human beings, especially Americans, are so resilient. We always figure stuff out. We always figure it out. Nobody's staying down unless we choose to stay down. Will there be millions of people negatively impacted by the COVID pandemic? Will there be businesses that choose to not exist anymore and they will use the excuse of the COVID pandemic? Absolutely, positively. But realize as you're looking at those situations that that is a choice that somebody or you are choosing to make. None of us ever have to stay down, no matter how many challenges we've faced, no matter how many adverse situations or things we've been in. We have the resilience. We have the ability to choose to figure it out, to choose to recover. I've had lots of those experiences and lots of those opportunities in my life, is why I say that with 100% certainty. No matter what you're going through, you don't have to stay there. No matter how much, I deal with a lot of chronic pain and people with chronic pain. No matter how bad your pain is, you don't have to stay there. No matter how sick you are, you don't have to stay there. No matter how financially devastated you might be, guess what? It just is a result of what's happened in the past. You don't have to stay there. So that's what I'm thinking on with respect to Get Up and Go. Fun challenge today, day 180, doing one fun thing every day this year. 365-day challenge to do one fun thing every day. And again, I think I've mentioned, I'm super grateful that that was the word or the activity that I chose to focus on this year, because there have been a lot of challenges. There has been a lot of crap that's come down in 2020 and affected so many people, and I'm choosing not to let it negatively impact and affect me. Have there been bad things that have happened to me and those I love and care about? Absolutely, positively, as a result of COVID, as a result of the protests and not the protests, they haven't impacted us negatively, but the rioting and the things that have gone on in our area. Over 1,000 businesses were damaged or burned down or destroyed completely just in Minneapolis alone. And so I don't even know what the number is in the whole country, but it's been a lot. How many people have been killed under the guise of the whole protest, the riots that are going on in 2020? So 2020 is definitely going to go down as a year in history of turmoil and trauma, but I think as it unfolds, we're going to find out that there was some evil perpetrating all of this drama, all of this trauma, and that it was done intentionally. And that's the part that's really bad, is knowing that there's good and evil in the world, and sometimes evil gets a leg up, but then good always prevails and always trumps it down, and ends up, things always end up, not always as they should in the short term, but in the long term, they always do. Look at us as human beings. We continue to excel and move toward being better and better and better, called ascension. We continue to ascend, even if individuals along the way are evil or perpetrate evil and bad in the world and heinous things in the world. You know what? We all survived Hitler. We didn't. A lot of people didn't survive Hitler, but humanity survived that. Humanity has survived every BS bad thing that's happened in the world and continued to thrive. And humanity will continue to thrive. Guess what? Greedy, evil people that are on the side of negativity and bad, they will not ultimately prevail. And if you believe that they will, guess what? You'll probably experience that in your life. But if you know with 100% certainty, like I do, it ain't going to happen, then it's not going to happen, at least in your life, in your experience. So fun challenge this year. Today we were talking about actually winning without fighting. And isn't that an interesting concept? So many people are expounding that riots are good, violence is good, it's the only way to get change. And I say bullshit. I call absolute bullshit on that, and I know I'll get some heat for this because I stand up and say, hey, violence is wrong no matter what. Two wrongs do not make a right. Evil met with evil, bad met with bad, does not ever create good. It does not ever create the change that we really want in the world. Fighting against something, the war on drugs, the war on anything, the calling attention to differences doesn't ever make those differences go away. I was thinking about it as I woke up this morning, the whole way we segregate people based on sexuality. We segregate people based on, and we categorize them based on their origin or the color of their skin. What kind of crap is that, right? We say it in the guise of affirmative action, but whenever we're calling out something that's different and trying to scream for it to be the same, guess what? It's never going to happen. All of us are different. And if we embrace everyone's differences and how we are all different and realize what a gift that is to the world and to humanity, that's how you get rid of racism and sexism and ageism and any other ism that you can think of. So that's my stand on that. That's my belief on that. You don't have to agree with me. You know what? That's just how I think and I believe and feel about it. I also believe that so much more is under our control than we give ourselves credit for. It's kind of mind-boggling. So get up and go, challenge 835, 180 for fun challenge. On the Rocks was the topic. I think I already said that for Supersize Your Business, and it's really interesting. On the Rocks is a much more powerful idiom than I have ever given it credit for or thought about in my life. And that's part of why I like sharing the idioms. Number one, it gives me something to talk about every day, but I find that it pulls through every area and every aspect of my life as I look at the meaning of things and say, well, what has this meant to me in the past? What does it mean to me right now? What could it mean to me in the future? It stretches me and helps me grow and the people that I share it with, because it gets us thinking about things that we might not have ever thought about. It gets us looking at everything from a different point of view and a different perspective. And as we do that and as we grow, we contribute positively to the world. So that's it. That's all I've got today. It's a holiday weekend here in the USA, and I'm spending it with family and friends, not in big groups because we're still under COVID, but just celebrating the people that I love and care about. I invite you to do the same. Any thoughts or questions on this, share in the comments below. Or if you don't want to share in the comments below, again, you're welcome to direct message me, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. I know, long name, but it is what it is. Have a great day. Have an amazing rest of your weekend, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye.